So for the Desert Secret 6 empty chambers. That's what broke the case wide open. A revolver that should have been loaded found wrapped in a tarp 30 miles from where its owner vanished. All 6 rounds fired, but not a drop of blood on the uniform folded beside it. For 2 years, Big Bend held its breath. Then 2 teenagers climbed into a place they shouldn't have been, and the desert finally started talking. Before we go deeper into this mystery, hit that subscribe button if stories like this pull you in. Drop a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. It's incredible seeing how far these reach. August 5th, 2020. The Texas sun is bleeding into the Chisos Mountains, and at Panther Junction Ranger Station, someone notices the silence. Ronan Wallaby hasn't checked in. 61 years old, 3 decades with the Park Service. He knows Big Bend better than his own reflection, and his radio, it's still charging in the dock. That's when the cold hits. Rangers don't forget their radios, not veterans like Ronan. Not in 800,000 acres of wilderness where a wrong turn means death. They try his cell. Voicemail. The supervisors start asking questions, retracing his day. Ranger Von Hopper was the last to see him. Says there was a call about campfire smoke near Mariscal Mine, abandoned mercury site, miles from anywhere. Ronan volunteered to check it. Quick patrol before sunset. Hopper remembers him rushing. Distracted. Must have forgotten the radio in the hurry. Sounds reasonable. Except nothing about this is reasonable. Search units roll out into the night. The drive to Mariscal takes hours on dirt roads that chew up vehicles. When they find Ronan's patrol car, it's locked, empty, no struggle, no blood, no tracks. Just a vehicle sitting there like its driver evaporated mid-thought. His son Kalen gets the call in Odessa. He's a cop himself. When they tell him about the radio, about the empty car, he knows something's catastrophically wrong. His father doesn't make mistakes like that, doesn't vanish without trace. And here's the detail that matters. Ronan carried an old service revolver, grandfathered in when everyone else switched to semi-autos. That gun was part of who he was. Now it's missing too. Dawn brings the full weight of what they're facing. August in Big Bend isn't weather, it's warfare. 110 degrees by 9 a.m. The air thick enough to choke on. Ground teams can work maybe 20 minutes before heat exhaustion sets in. K9 units? Useless. The scent evaporates faster than water. The rocks are too hot for the dogs to walk on. Helicopters thunder overhead. Drones scan the fractured landscape. They're searching for one man in terrain so vast, so broken by canyons and cliffs, you could hide an army out there. Every hour that passes cuts the survival window thinner. No water, no shelter. You've got maybe a day if you're lucky. But here's what Kalen keeps saying. His father wouldn't get lost, wouldn't die of exposure without leaving. Signs. Ronan understood the desert's rules, respected its power. The silence isn't accidental, it's wrong. Then investigators start digging into that campfire report, the call that sent Ronan out there. Anonymous tip, vague location, no callback number. They try to trace it, nothing. The call's a ghost. And when teams scour every inch of the reported area, they find something that stops them cold. No campfire, no ash, no charred wood, no evidence anyone was ever there. The report was fake. Someone lured Ronan Wallaby to the most remote corner of Big Bend, and he disappeared like smoke. Now it's not just a search, it's something darker. The proximity to the Rio Grande starts making sense. Border country, smuggling corridors, narcotics, weapons, people, all moving through that wilderness. Theory builds fast. Ronan interrupted something he wasn't supposed to see. Smugglers don't leave witnesses. Then Border Patrol finds a cache, miles from the mine, hidden in a wash, water bottles, food, camping gear. Typical cartel way station. This feels like the answer. Ronan stumbled on their operation. They eliminated the threat. Resources flood toward that cache. Every item cataloged, processed, analyzed. Fingerprints, movement patterns. Intelligence analysts tracking organizations, mapping routes. They're close. They can feel it. Except forensics comes back with a hammer blow. The cache is old. Days, maybe a week before Ronan vanished. The footprints are degraded. The food spoiled. It's unrelated. Just another smuggling operation that came and went. Weeks of investigation. Dead end. The helicopters go silent. The ground teams pack up. The desert swallows the questions whole. The case goes cold, and the only things left are grief and theories that lead nowhere. 2 years pass, like held breath. June 2022. Two teenagers, Jarek and Silas, are somewhere they're not supposed to be. Told their parents they're camping in Guadalupe Mountains. They're actually in Big Bend, hunting for abandoned mines. Amateur treasure seekers with ropes and headlamps and no permission. They find a mine shaft, hidden behind brush, barely visible, just a dark opening breathing cool air, exactly what they're looking for. They gear up, descend into the earth. The silence down there is absolute, heavy, the kind that presses against your eardrums. Jarek's headlamp sweeps across debris in a crevice. He stops. The rocks aren't random, they're arranged, deliberately stacked, concealing something. They dig, pull away stones and rotting timbers. Under it all, a black plastic tarp, heavy, modern. Doesn't belong in this forgotten place. They cut the tape, unfold it. Inside, a park ranger uniform, tan shirt, olive pants, campaign hat. And beside it, a revolver. The silence in that shaft gets deeper. This isn't treasure. This is evidence. They know it instantly. Two kids doing something illegal just found something that matters more than their own trouble. They haul it to the surface, drive until they get cell service, make the call. When investigators arrive, when they process that tarp, when they check the name tag on the uniform, Ronan Wallaby, and the gun. Old model service revolver. Serial number match confirmed. Then comes the moment that changes everything. An investigator opens the cylinder, 6 empty chambers, all rounds fired. The uniform's intact, no bullet holes, no blood, no tears. Ronan Wallaby discharged his weapon completely, but the uniform he was wearing shows no signs of combat. The discovery is 30 miles from where he vanished. The location makes no sense. The evidence contradicts itself, but that empty gun is talking. Ronan was in a fight, and someone made sure that weapon wouldn't tell the full story. The uniform goes to Quantico, FBI crime lab. They're expecting blood, tears, evidence of violence. What they find is the opposite. The fabric is pristine. No bullet damage, no knife cuts, no blood, not a drop. Just dust and grime from 2 years in that mine shaft. Someone removed this uniform carefully, folded it, wrapped it, hid it. The tarp and gun, wiped clean, no fingerprints, no trace evidence. Whoever did this knew forensics, knew how to erase themselves. Ballistic analysis confirms all 6 rounds were fired around the time Ronan disappeared. But if he fired them, where are the bullets? If he was wearing the uniform, where's the blood? They searched the mine shaft. Weeks of excavation in unstable tunnels, shoring up walls, digging through debris, looking for remains, for bullets, for anything. Nothing. The shaft was just a hiding place, not the crime scene. Now investigators are facing a new reality. 30 miles of brutal terrain between disappearance and discovery. No one walks that distance without supplies. This required vehicles, planning, organization. Someone moved Ronan's gear across Big Bend and left no trace doing it. Here's where it gets strange. Both locations, Mariscal Mine and the mine shaft, they're adjacent to a canyon system, a route known for human trafficking, not drugs, people, high-value cargo moved by organizations that prioritize control over confrontation. The evidence shifts into new light. The careful removal of the uniform, that's not spontaneous violence. That's methodical control. Checking for tracking devices, eliminating identity, psychological dominance. Teams deploy into the canyon system, narrow slots, steep walls, terrain that swallows searchers whole. They're looking for subtle signs, disturbed earth, broken branches, anything that betrays presence. Weeks in, they find it. A concealed encampment, hidden behind false walls of rock and brush, small, efficient, temporary, and at the back, bullet impacts in the granite. Tightly grouped, close range, deliberate. They excavate the rock. Days of careful work under brutal sun, chiseling around the impacts to preserve the ballistic evidence. 6 slugs, embedded in stone. Forensics confirms it. Fired from Ronan Wallaby's revolver. But this wasn't combat. No exchange of fire. No struggle. The shots are too precise, too systematic. Someone took Ronan's weapon, brought it here, and emptied it into solid rock. They neutralized it, made sure it couldn't be used, eliminated ballistic evidence. This is when the investigation realizes what they're hunting, not opportunistic criminals, not cartel smugglers reacting to surprise. This is a professional operation that made a federal officer vanish like he never existed. Investigators start pulling data, park entry logs, traffic cameras, cell towers, looking for anomalies on the day Ronan disappeared. The breakthrough comes from automated license plate readers, a supply truck, contracted for park waste removal. It entered the area early morning, standard route. But when it passed a weigh station leaving that evening, right after Ronan vanished, something's off. The truck is heavier, substantially heavier. Waste removal vehicles should be lighter leaving. They're depositing waste, not collecting it. This truck picked up cargo, significant weight, unauthorized. And its logged route that day, it passed near Mariscal Mine. No scheduled stop there, just a subtle deviation. Easy to miss unless you're looking. Meanwhile, Kalen Wallaby is reviewing his father's logs for the 100th time. This time, armed with new context, he sees it. Entries from months before the disappearance. Saw the waste truck near Old Maverick Road again, no scheduled stop. Waste truck parked off Main Road near Rio Grande Village? Seemed odd. Ronan noticed the anomaly, documented it, didn't understand what it meant. He was watching his own killers and didn't know it. Surveillance begins. The trucking company, the driver from 2020. Multi-agency operation, FBI, DEA, Homeland Security, aerial reconnaissance, electronic monitoring. They watch the trucks deviate from routes, make stops at isolated locations, brief meetings in places they have no business being. The surveillance leads them to a ranch, isolated, surrounded by rugged hills. Single dirt road access, owned by Olin Quaid. Wealthy, reclusive, suspected ties to organized crime but never charged. The compound is a fortress, high fences, electronic surveillance, armed guards, and the waste trucks visit regularly, outside scheduled routes, activity at odd hours, cargo moving through a converted barn. The task force gets warrants, high-risk raid, early morning hours, multi-agency tactical teams, armored vehicles, helicopters. They breach at dawn. Olin Quaid is apprehended in his bedroom. The truck driver arrested simultaneously at his home. When they breach the barn, they find hell. Metal cells, locked, overcrowded. The smell hits them first, human suffering condensed into stale air. Inside the cells, children, young adults, mostly Central and South American, malnourished, terrified, showing signs of abuse. A sophisticated trafficking way station, hidden beneath legitimate business, moving human cargo north through Big Bend, using government contracts as cover. In Quaid's office, they find maps, Big Bend National Park, confidential ranger patrol schedules, radio codes. Someone inside the Park Service was feeding them intelligence. The truck driver breaks under interrogation, confesses the operation. Years of moving people through the park, using specialized compartments in the waste trucks, bypassing checkpoints, generating millions for Quaid's organization. Then he gives up the name. Ranger Von Hopper, the last person to see Ronan alive, the one who relayed the fake campfire report. He was on the payroll, providing intelligence, diverting patrols. The anonymous call wasn't anonymous. It was Hopper, orchestrating an ambush. August 5th, 2020. Active transfer happening at Mariscal Mine. Migrants being loaded into the truck. Hopper sends Ronan directly into it. Deliberate, calculated, elimination of a potential threat. Ronan arrives, interrupts the operation, sees the migrants. He's overwhelmed before he can draw. Multiple armed men. Disarmed immediately, forced to remove his uniform, checking for tracking devices, exerting control, loaded into the truck with the human cargo. The weight anomaly at the weigh station? That was Ronan. That was the migrants. He was transported to Quaid's ranch, executed that same day, buried on the property. The uniform and gun disposed of later during a separate trip. The weapon neutralized at the canyon encampment before being hidden in the mine shaft. Calculated misdirection to confuse investigators. Based on the confession, they excavate the indicated site, deep beneath the soil. Ronan Wallaby, after 2 years. Hopper is arrested at Panther Junction. His colleagues watch in silence. The betrayal is incomprehensible. One of their own orchestrated the murder of a brother ranger. When confronted, Hopper barely speaks, doesn't deny it, doesn't explain. Just says the organization behind this is bigger, more dangerous than anyone understands. He fears them more than prison. Olin Quaid, the truck driver, Von Hopper, all convicted, life sentences, trafficking conspiracy, murder of a federal officer. The discovery brings closure, but the betrayal, that leaves a scar that never heals. Thanks for watching. If this story affected you, like, share, and subscribe for more untold mysteries every week. Tell us where you're watching from. Your city might be next. Until then, stay curious and stay safe, because sometimes the wilderness isn't what kills you. Sometimes it's the person standing right beside you, wearing the same badge, pretending to care where you've gone.